All right, so I'm doing this video real quick. Um, it has to do with me using a certain strategy that I've used in multiple places to attain either some type of footage or some type of interaction or something related to Sasquatch over the years. And I wanted to put this together for Bluff Creek. Um, it's going to be, kind of quick and rough, but I want to give some people the idea. And what happens is everybody gets stuck on the sighting area. Like Bluff Creek, here it is. Oh my God, that's where we got to go. This is the immediate area. We're gonna get a sighting, put up cameras. We're gonna do the whole 9 yards. What they fail to do is take a larger perspective on the entire area and use and apply known animals and the way they move through areas and the whole 9 yards. So you're probably looking like, what are these white zones? So I mapped out these white zones. To me, this is what we would call a safe zone. Like if you're a primate or if you're an animal, these are the safe zones that you're going to hang out in. You're gonna live there, move area to area. You see all the photo trails, you see the roads, you see where people go, is what I'm saying. People are coming hiking through here, they're hiking over here. There's a few in this area here, but all the white areas would be like a safe zone to me. And when I've done that in larger areas like this, I have to figure out how a unknown would move from point A to point B, point C, how they would move. Okay, so if we look at Bluff Creek, to me, I believe Bluff Creek was an anomalous event, a one-time thing that they're really not there. And based on the study that the Bluff Creek project is doing, they've got no results relative to Sasquatch. Technically, no photos or anything like that. So to me, that means that for some reason, a Sasquatch had to move through Bluff Creek at that time, right? So, a couple of things. I mean, who knows the reason? I don't. I mean, you could see all these logging roads that come up through here. Um, I don't know. There's a river on the other side. You can see all this, So if the Sasquatch is coming through here, they're gonna go through areas usually that aren't uh, habitable, right? So this path here through this center, they have to cross here, they have to cross here. This is what I call a V, right? And where these 96 and 169 kind of come together, you have Bluff Creek, right? They're not going to hold up here in a pinch point. This is essentially a pinch point because people can come from this road, they can come from, the west, the east. The only place they really can't get into this area with ease of access might be the north, up in this region here. So this is where I would suspect, from my travels there years and years ago, this is in a main area where they would possibly hold up. Yeah, there are some roads up there, but no main intersecting highways. And you're probably asking yourself, well, how did he come up with these safe zones? Well, these are main areas where a Sasquatch may have been sighted one time or multiple times. I'm ruling out Bluff Creek just based on what I would call a pinch point, the V here. It's going to leave this area susceptible. They're not going to feel comfortable there. They're what I call one-sided. They would rather be over here where people couldn't access from the west. So they could only have to watch the east. Here, this whole terrain up in this section causes them to be more skittish, I would say. And this is just based on what I've seen and learned in other areas. So I would completely write off this whole Bluff Creek region here, and I'll show you why. So as a whole, let's just use the redwood forest here, right? So there's been sightings there, okay. So if I'm a Sasquatch, I'm putting myself in their shoes, and I have to get to Marble Mountain, or I have to get to the Klamath because the fish are in and they're spawning, or whatever it may be. I'm going to attempt to take the easiest route or the safest route, or the routes that they've taken for hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years, or whatever it is. In my honest opinion, if we're using redwood, I have to figure out how to get, traverse this area without being seen. Obviously, you see this is a larger hiking situation here, so I'm ruling this area out right here. They're not going to come through here. They're not coming through the V. We're just going to label it the V. But there have been sightings in the Hoopa Reservation, so that to me, they're coming more south here as they get into the other side of the Hoopa Reservation and stuff like that. And as they would move off here toward I believe this is Marble Mountain area, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and draw a few lines connecting these far distant points as they're going to move and traverse through areas based on what I've learned and based on the topography and based on other things. See, up through here you have all these little areas, kind of like cities or whatever you want to call them, towns and everything else. So they're probably going to traverse north to south here. They're going to head more north toward the York Reservation up this way. And I would say it's more susceptible they would cross over here to the northern side of Bluff Creek. There's no real reason for them to traverse this in this middle section, because once they hit this territory here, this safe zone in the north, they can head way north and access all this area here, or they really are just making one cross. I believe this is 96 here, across, what is it, Soames Bar. Yeah, the minute you cross 96, you're already off into this wilderness here, into another safe zone up near the Klamath and everywhere else. You can virtually access this on this back side even if they really wanted to, based on, topography and terrain all up through Marble Mountain. So I will even go as far as rephrasing that I don't even know if they are moving south by this Redwood National Forest here, because there is a lot of activity and people down here, and they still have to cross the 96, and you see all these roadways up through here, that it just becomes an obstacle for them where they're not going to want to traverse that as much as they would go north. So on the back side of that, they may just be going north and up into the Klamath there, and they can traverse, south from here down. But this area here is very intriguing to me. I know that there's like Davis Creek up here somewhere where it bends out even. It may be here. It may not be listed, but so I think that is, let me see. Yeah, this is an area of interest to me, where you've got this oxbow here. Anywhere I would say from, what is this, Soames Bar here, if I'm pronouncing it right, 2 to 4 miles out here above that, this whole strip here is going to be the highway that they're going to travel, and I would not be worrying about Bluff Creek whatsoever. So this wilderness area right here, all through here, is what I would be focusing on if I was the Bluff Creek project. This section up through here, right along the 96, right along the Klamath up through here, this will be your travel corridor for them to get from point A to point B. This area here, if we look, it's very rugged up through here, right? The Klamath National Forest. This area is real rugged. Obviously, they got to get from point A to point B. I'm not going to tell you why or how, but there's things that you have to look for. And this is the easiest route to cross the 96 right here through this area. I want to say it's the most desolate area. Okay, this stretch down through here by Marble Mountain Ranch, this whole section here. So then I would go ahead, and now that I got this 2 to 4 mile section here pinpointed where I believe they're traveling, I would go to this area and I would ride the road. And along this road, I would look for Your typical types of large pathways through the woods, maybe other travel from other animals, or I would go as far as saying maybe there's an AKA stick structure or something that points you to say, hey, okay, I'm doing research. Maybe that's a possibility because people talk about it, so that's where I need to go take a look. Once you find that marker, or once you find that trail, that significant thing that might say, hey, okay, this is a good region to go ahead and put a camera. I would trek in, no more, I would say no more than like half a mile. And people would say, well, why would you do that? Because usually if you get a fresh trail or of any animal after a half-mile distance, they can go any which way. The whole goal is to try to create a pinch point where you can obtain photos or anything like that, and not use a pinch point like this, the roads, because they know to avoid that. They would rather take the long way around than have to come through all this down through here. Do you know what I'm saying? At least understand what I'm saying? Again, this is very rough. I'm just trying to show you guys where I would be at, and this is for a specific group doing their research. And it would be right along 96, on the east side of 96 in this region. And I will specifically point a couple marked areas and put some pins on the map. Okay, so I just have 2 places so far, but as we look, we have this ridge corridor that falls all the way down through here north to south. This is a good region for them to either hang out, watch these trail bodies, or move north to south uninterrupted very quickly. So to me, this is a huge safe zone right up through this middle corridor here. Sorry about that. And that's why I also put a marker here, because you have this trail loop, right? A lot of times they'll sit inside of that, or up top on an area like this little crest here, where they can look down and watch people or watch the trails and things like that. Now, another place would be right here. A good crossing is this, just above this, between the 2 oxbows, right in this creek area. You got a lot of high gravel bankage here, where they could get across easily. And in this whole region right here, you're not getting any type of real hiking trails. There might be a few small ones, up along this ridge crest. But in here, this would intrigue me. So I would place this here, not very far off the road. That may be, well, let's see how far. Okay, so it's 1.5 miles. Usually I try to say half mile to 1 mile. But that's 1.5 miles. So they're probably all about 1.5 miles distance off of a road or off of a trail. And one of the main reasons I put it here is because this all converges right here. This little ridge system. You've got a little ridge system east to west and a north to south ridge system where they would come off and possibly overlook this opening. It's probably growing in, but that looks like some type of opening. But they would play this edge system right through here. So I went ahead and I took out the safe zone, the white coloring here in the middle where Bluff Creek was. So I would even say too that I know the film site's like right over here. So I would say that they would even be traveling a little farther north, to me, when they come through there. These are the 4 spots that I have on this map, and you can see where they're at. Here's Marble Mountain Ranch. You can use that as a pinpoint. And here's the 1, 2, 3, 4. You can get the coordinates. And again, that's without me even being there now, from 2014, without boots on the ground right now. These would be my 4 best options to put some type of cameras. And I guarantee within a year, you'll probably get something very questionable, if not something that you're looking for. So this would be my 5th and final pin. Just off the Klamath, off the 96 here. You have a ridge that's coming down like this. You have an east to west ridge. You have a peak that's toenailed up here. These are some good crossing areas. So if I'm looking at a Sasquatch going north to south and they're going to hit this low slope and come walking down through here, you would get a photo this way. If they come, let's just say the high ground, a lot of times they'll tend, like a person would, to head toward the lower section. So you could possibly get a photo from this direction. If they're coming in on this half ridge here, this half ridge system over this ridge, you got another place here. So I place these in areas where there could be multiple ways of entry and exit, and it don't have to always be very far off the road. So in all, there you go. There are the 5 pins on where I would be stationed to attempt to get some type of Sasquatch interactions. I'd stay away from Orleans here, maybe a little south if I had to come back over here, but there's so many hiking trails up through here. Not to say that they won't go that way. I've just learned that, maybe if there was one or two, not a whole, system, they try to tend to stay away from that. Then you've got this whole city system here. You've got a lot of hiking going on down through here. It's a better play in my opinion. So I'm not gonna keep you any longer. Those are the 4 pins. I guarantee that if you put cameras at these locations, you're going to get something, or you're going to find something while you're there, a structure, whatever it may be. You're going to find it, guaranteed. I guarantee this, like within 1 year time frame. I showed you some of the minimal techniques, but I'm not showing you everything that I've learned from these creatures in the woods. I wanted to share this. It's not that I'm trying to be, presumptuous, or I'm not trying to go after somebody. I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm the guy, I know what's going on. No, I'm just trying to take these techniques and give them to somebody else, so hopefully they can move forward and move us forward in this research.